Hello everybody, my name is Bragster and welcome to my Premier League predictions video where I will be going through all of my predictions for the Premier League, including some special ones. Obviously, I'm going to run through each position in the league. Yes, I'm going as far as predicting every single position for every single team in the league, as well as some other special awards, I guess. Or some awards that maybe you don't want, like biggest flop will be in there, but we'll get to those later. But yeah, this is my Premier League predictions video. I am recording this because this won't get out before the first Premier League game, because I'm literally recording it as the teams are being announced, right? So it is 7 o'clock on Friday the 13th of August. So whenever this video comes out, which will be soon as I can get it edited, just for clarification, that is the time I'm recording now. I am literally back from work and recording this ASAP, so I can't be accused of being biased depending on the results of any games before I do the video. So I'm getting it in before the games start, even if that includes literally when the teams are being announced. But because I'm recording, I can't look at them. So what a shame. You can't criticize me. But without further ado, we will get in to my Premier League finished table predictions. Right, so my predictions for this table, I will go from bottom to top because more people are interested to find out who I think will win the league more than who I think will get relegated. So I will go from 20th position all the way up to first, knowing full damn well I haven't missed any teams out because I've made sure of that. And also running through my reasons why, if I keep looking to my left, it's because I've got the transfers up on my left, just so I can at least give as much of an informed opinion as possible to whatever informed opinion Connor can give, given the fact that he's not the most informative football fan in the world. He just tries his best, alright? So if I do get a few things wrong, like players' names, don't take the mick. Just let me go around it. Alright, sounds good. Right, so 20th position in the league, I personally believe will be Watford. I think Watford are a team. The club dynamics are very, very interesting. When I did a stream on the Unbelievable Streams pod Twitch page, link will be down in the description to that. Fox in the Box spoke about his what he believes about Watford and everything that's going on there. You know, as a Watford fan, he would know best, and the dynamics surrounding Watford are fascinating, absolutely fascinating to listen to. And unfortunately, I think that's what's going to cost them. I feel like when it comes to the Premier League, you need a very secure squad. Which is why certain teams who may not finish top in the Championship may do well in the Premier League. We'll get to that team in a minute. But with Watford, I feel like they're swapping and changing. They're like they've gotten rid of. They've brought in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players, 2 on loan, multiple free transfers. They've got rid of a few as well. They've only got rid of 2 or 3 and stuff, but they had a lot of loan deals last season, so they're having to, you know, reimburse those. So it's, you know, with Watford, I feel like they're swapping and changing is what's going to cost them, and that's what's going to make them finish bottom. Next up, I think, is the other promoted team from the Championship in Norwich. I feel like Norwich are going to have a very similar season to what they did the first time round, which was they come in the league, they do decently, and then they flop off. I feel like this time, I don't feel like there'll be as much of a disaster, but I feel like they won't be as good. They're virtually the same team that came up last time, just they've lost Emi Buendia. And I feel like losing Emi Buendia is a massive loss for them. You know, they've recruited a decent amount of money and spent it in really good places. You know, they've got an average age for each of their arrivals are 23 years of age. They are investing in the future. They are very clever in their investment, but I just don't feel like their signings will be enough. You know, they've got some exciting signings in Rashika, Sargent, Ben Gibson's a decent signing, Angus Gunn's a decent signing, you know, Billy Gilmore on loan is a very good signing. They've got this guy from the Greek leagues in Tzolis or something like that for about 10 million. And, you know, they've spent, they've spent 54 million, they've recruited in 34 million, so they've only spent about 20 million this season, but they've spent but I just don't feel like it's enough. I feel like they are a team that's too good for the Championship, but not quite good enough for the Premier League. 18th position is one where I'm going to get a lot of slack, because it is Southampton. I do believe Southampton are going to get relegated this season. This is my very risky pick, and I know it's a very risky pick, but number one, everyone needs risky picks at the start of the season. Makes your predictions a lot more interesting. Number two, I'm a YouTuber, so naturally I'm going to go for the more risky predictions, aren't I? You're watching the video. You're part of the reason why. But yeah, I feel like their signings have been alright. You know, Adam Armstrong for 60 million. Is it too much? Perraud, I don't really know much about him. There are a couple of signings from Chelsea. I don't really know. Theo Walcott on a free transfer is decent, but their sellings is where it goes wrong. Angus Gunn, Vestergaard, Ings. Vestergaard and Ings mainly, but getting rid of your backup goalkeeper can sometimes not help things. You know, Lamina, getting rid of him's, you know, not great. Bertrand obviously is a very good backup option, even a first team option, as he'll probably prove at Leicester this season. But Danny Ings and Vestergaard were essential to how Southampton played, and they're gone. And I don't think they've replaced them. You know, replacing Danny Ings with Adam Armstrong, it's just not good enough. You know, and replacing Vestergaard with Semedo, I don't know much about Semedo, but he's 19 years of age. I've never really heard of him. I've not heard of him do much at Chelsea. I'm not expecting much from Southampton, and I really do think they'll struggle. I really do. Which then brings me on to the team that I think will be battling it out with Southampton, and that is Brentford. Brentford are the other promoted team. I feel like it is very possible that all three promoted teams could go straight back down. I just don't think their squads are good enough for the Premier League. The difference is with Brentford, it's their first ever time in the Premier League, and the fans are there. This could be the Sheffield United effect, just not to the same degree. You know, the Sheffield United effect got them into the top half, and they did it brilliantly. The Brentford effect, I think they will go up to about 12, fighting for that top half finish, and about like maybe Christmas time, and then bang, they'll just go straight back down. They'll lose games. I feel like that's how their season's going to go. I just feel like they're going to pick up enough points in that first half of the season so they don't get relegated, and then obviously they will pick up enough in the second half of the season. But you know, I feel like the balance is how well their first half of the season goes will determine whether Brentford get relegated or whether they stay up, and I think they're just about going to stay up. Then we move on to the team, right, that quite simply is the literal definition of same old shit, a different year. Like, Burnley have brought Nathan Collins for 12 million, but got rid of Ben Gibson for 8 million. That's almost like a straight swap. Like, you know, they've gotten rid of Bailey Peacock-Farrell on loan to Sheffield Wednesday and brought in Wayne Hennessy on a free transfer. They are literally the same thing every year. They're going to finish 16th. They're going to struggle, but Sean Dyche is going to save them. Sean Dyche is really going to save them, as he does every single time. I don't know what else to say about Burnley. It's the same thing, just a different year. Like, there's nothing else to say. But then it comes to lucky number 15. My lucky number is Crystal Palace. I feel like Crystal Palace should get relegated, but they won't. So the reason why they should get relegated, for those of you that don't know, Hodgson obviously retired, well, he's not retired, he's left, but he's basically retired, but he doesn't like to admit he's retired because he doesn't like to admit he's old. There's a whole thing to do with Roy Hodgson. He's a fascinating character, but they also didn't renew everyone's contracts. You know, some contracts have been renewed since, but you've had the likes of James McCarthy, Wayne Hennessy, Mohamedou Sakho, Patrick Van Aanholt, Andros Townsend, Connor Wickham, Scott Dan, Gary Cahill, all names that are literally, like, when you think of Palace, you think of those players, and they're not there. They're not there this season. But recruitment of Vieira is a risky one. Very risky one. He could be one of the first managers sacked. I don't think he will be. I think they'll give him time. And I think his recruitment has been damn right brilliant. Guehi, for 21 million, he is brilliant. And I can't wait to see Guehi perform in the Premier League. Joachim Anderson, I don't know much about him. I can't remember if we saw him in the Euros or how much we saw him in the Euros. But from what I've heard about him, he's a decent player for 16 million. Michael Olise, I know a decent amount about Olise from seeing a bit of the Championship. A few fans of the Championship might know a bit more, but he's an exciting 19-year-old from Reading. For 8 million, for someone that could perform on the big stage, is a good signing in my opinion. And then you're looking at the likes of Conor Gallagher. You know, I love Conor Gallagher, another young Chelsea midfielder, because Guehi can play in the midfield, but he prefers to play in centre back. Conor Gallagher for me is brilliant. I really like him. I think he's a really good signing for them. I know he's only on loan, but I feel like he's a really good option, and I feel like those signings are going to save Palace. You know, it all depends on how Vieira reacts and how Vieira does in the Premier League as well. But I feel like he would do just enough. Similar to Burnley, I feel like they would just be good enough. Then you're looking at number 14, 14th position, which will be Brighton. Brighton are another team who I just feel like they'll do decently. You know, the selling of Ben White, you know, they've generated a lot of money for that. They've got a net spend of positive 28 million. You know, they've gained money this transfer window. They haven't spent it all, so they could still spend. I don't feel like they've replaced Ben White. I feel like that's the next thing they need to do. They need to get a centre-back to replace Ben White. If they do that, they've had a decent transfer window, you know. And Wepu, I've heard a bit about for 20 million. Brought in a young keeper from Ajax for 5 million. Again, decent. You know, I feel like with Brighton, they won't have an exciting season. They won't have a bad season. They will just be there or thereabouts, and that'll be them done. Similar to what Newcastle have done for the past few years, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But before we talk about Newcastle, we need to talk about 13th position, Wolves. Wolves are a team who have, let's be honest, had a disappointing season last season, but part of that was due to what happened to Raul Jimenez. He was and is essential to how Wolves play. Without Raul Jimenez, they look lost. They look lost on that pitch as if they don't know what to do. They never replaced Raul Jimenez, and they haven't done again. And because of that, I'm worried about them. You know, I feel like they've got enough quality in their team to be fine and comfortably mid-table, but they're not going to push forward. They're not going to go back. They're just going to stay roughly where they were last time. The selling of Rui Patricio for only 10 million. I know he's 33, but it's Rui Patricio. I don't like that selling, but hey ho. Apparently they've replaced him with Jose Sarr, who's apparently quite a good keeper from what I've heard, and what I've heard Dave Azzopardi talk about on the podcast. Then a couple of their other signings I don't really know. Obviously I know Trincao, who's a very good loan signing, but I don't really know Nori. I don't really know Mosquera. Sorry for my pronunciations, but I don't really know much about them, and without knowing much about them, I can't really judge them on whether they will progress Wolves, so I'm just going to keep them exactly pretty much where they left off last season. sorry Wolves, it's just not going to be your season. Then we're moving on to 12th, which is Newcastle. Now Newcastle, for me, I like Newcastle. I have a soft spot for Newcastle. I don't know what it is. Probably because I did a Football Manager save with them the one year. But I like Newcastle, and their signing of Joe Willock is very, very good for 25 million. They haven't sold anything either. I feel like I speak about this a lot, especially to my mates and on the podcast and stuff. Sometimes a transfer window isn't what you bring in and what you get, what you bring in and what you sell. It's sometimes about those contracts. Who you manage to get to sign contracts, who you manage to keep during those windows. They've kept Callum Wilson, which is brilliant. They've kept St. Maximin, which is brilliant. You know, they've brought in Joe Willock. They've actually got him this time. So they've got him for a full season, not just half a season. It's essential stuff. And I feel like they've really gone for this. And, you know, a lot of Newcastle fans don't like Bruce. I feel like Bruce is good enough though. Bruce is going to get him to that 12th, 13th position. They're not going to quite progress. They're not going to fall back. You know, I know this middle section is very much like that, but that's how I feel with them. I don't feel like they're going to blow everyone away, but I don't feel like they're going to disappoint anyone either. And that's when we move on to Everton. In 11th position. I know, I'm predicting Everton to finish outside of the top 10, even with Rafa Benitez, and I just don't feel like it's been enough. For whatever reason, this is the most baffling thing with Everton, is they brought in Rafa Benitez, who's a quality manager with a lot of experience and has annoyed a lot of fans, right? But Everton board knew that appointment was going to annoy a lot of fans. Now, if you're going to go out of your way to annoy your fans, the first thing you need to do is show that you believe in this manager and that you want to progress the club with this manager. And unfortunately, that's not what they've done. You know, they've not given any money to Rafa Benitez. You know, he's brought in 3 players. Demarai Gray for 1.8 million. Very good signing. I don't know why his release clause was that. I like Demarai Gray a lot. Andros Townsend on a free, Begovic on a free. Those are very good, cheap signings. But those are the sort of signings that you expect a club like Everton to do to bolster their squad, not improve their first team, which is what those signings have been there to do. You know, Demarai Gray and Townsend have been rumoured to appear in the first team squad. Begovic is very much there to appear as a backup option for Pickford, you know. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned for Everton, and I feel like they're going to finish 11th. I feel like Benitez and the quality of that squad, with James Rodriguez, keeping him has been essential. You know, with Pickford in there, Mina in there. You know, I feel like it's going to be enough. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it's going to be enough to stay reasonably high in that league. But they're still going to look like they're slipping backwards. So then we're moving into the top half of the table, and for the fans of the teams that maybe aren't used to being in the top half, or maybe thought that, you know, some people have put them outside of the top half, congratulations, you have made it to the top half of the table. Leeds will be one of those teams. I feel like Leeds will make it into the top half, and Leeds will finish 10th in this league. I don't think they're quite good enough to mount the challenge that the other 9 teams are going to do, but I feel like Leeds are good enough, and I think the difference is with Leeds, you look at the teams below them. Everton, I think, will struggle this season. I think they're going through a bit of a turmoil. Newcastle are on their way up, but I feel like they might need a bit more money or a bit better manager, stuff like that, to then progress the club. I feel like they need to sort out their behind the scenes before they progress. Wolves, I don't think will progress. I think they're going to struggle this season, especially if Raul Jimenez doesn't turn up. Then you're looking at the Brighton, the Palaces and all of that. So I feel like Leeds have a very easy chance of getting into that top half. You know, if they do perform like they did last season, they don't get found out, and their key players perform well and don't get injured, they are going to finish in this top half very, very easily. I feel like that's a given. In my head, that it is just a given, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I feel like this could be a nice season for Leeds, where they really do progress. You know, they've got Jack Harrison in permanently now, which is brilliant for them. They've barely lost anyone. You know, they've not sold anyone, which is brilliant. you know, to not sell anyone and to only lose people on free transfers because their contracts were up. If your contract is running up, the likelihood is your club doesn't necessarily want you there anymore and doesn't deem you essential. You know, yes, Pablo Hernandez has done incredible things for Leeds, but I think a lot of people agree it was his time to move on. You know, but you're looking at the signings that they've made. You know, that Firpo from Barcelona, very good signing for 13 million. Jack Harrison obviously coming in permanently. And that Cleason, I've heard a lot about him and I've heard he's pretty decent. So, yeah, I feel like this is Leeds' season to finish in the top half. I feel like I think they did it last season. I think they're going to do it again. So, yeah, Leeds are 10th. 9th, I think, will be West Ham. I feel like West Ham haven't lost a lot. I feel like this is where I'm on about. Sometimes it's about what you don't lose more than what you lose and what you bring in. You know, the fact that they haven't lost Rice is brilliant, you know, and they haven't gotten rid of their important players, the players that made them get to the top. But the problem is they didn't get Lingard back. They haven't got Lingard back. And they haven't brought a striker. They need a striker. Antonio is great, but they need a striker desperately. You know, they've got quality in Bowen, who again they've managed to keep, but you know, they need a striker in there. And I feel like that's a universal thing that West Ham fans seem to be saying from what I've seen, that they need a striker. If they don't get one in, I feel like that's going to be their undoing, especially with Europe. I feel like that's the other undoing bit. That's why they're going to drop down a little bit, is because West Ham have Europe. They are going to get tired. They're going to get tired of playing the same team week in, week out, and in midweek and on the weekends. And especially if you don't have a striker now, you can't rotate in strikers when you don't have first team strikers to play with in the first place. You know, yes, Newcastle have a useless person named Joel Linton in their team, but at least they've got a backup option. West Ham currently don't have that. I could be wrong, but that's the universal thing I'm kind of hearing from them, is they need a very good striker, and it doesn't look like they're going to get it. So I feel like 9th is a good spot for them. 8th, this is where I start getting controversial again. Sorry, Southampton fans. 8th is Arsenal. Arsenal aren't going to finish in the top half. Aren't going to finish in the European spaces. Yep, yes, they've made some signings, right? And this is why I'm bringing up the signings, right? Because they've brought in Ben White, they've brought in this Lukonga guy and Tavares, and I've heard of those, I've heard of them, and they're quite good. You know, obviously I've heard of Ben White as well, but they're quite good. You know, they've spent 75 million, they've gotten rid of Joe Willock for 26 million, which means they've, you know, net spent about 50 million. Joe Willock getting sold is a great signing for Newcastle, awful selling for Arsenal. Why they aren't going full on in with Willock, I don't know. Willock was brilliant for Newcastle towards the end of last season. Saka has been incredible for Arsenal. Emile Smith-Rowe has been incredible for Arsenal. They nearly sold Emile Smith-Rowe to Aston Villa, which would have been tragic. And now they're selling Joe Willock to Newcastle. What they're doing is they're giving all of their quality youth to their competition, and considering giving their quality youth to their competition rather than using those youth to improve their first team, to progress themselves. Why they are doing this, I have absolutely no idea, but that's what they're doing, and they're going to miss out on Europe. They just are. I'm sorry, Arteta, the likelihood is you probably will get sacked and the Arsenal fans will turn on you, but your squad ain't good enough. It ain't good enough. Ain't gonna happen. You know, this could be the end of Arsenal as a top 6 club. I've said this for a while, for a good year or so now, and my mates and stuff can back me up. I think this is it as Arsenal as a top 6 club. They're finishing outside of Europe again. In 7th position, sorry, Tottenham fans, but it's you. You're going to get the Conference League again. I feel like Tottenham are just the same as last year. The only difference is Harry Kane's not happy, and I don't know how Harry Kane's going to perform when he's not happy. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute when we talk about the awards. But Harry Kane's not very happy. I don't know how he's going to perform. I don't know if that's going to disrupt anything that's going on. They've signed Bryan Gill. I'll talk about him more later. But they've signed Bryan Gill. I don't know much about him. From everything that, by playing Football Managers and stuff, I still haven't heard about him. I mean, it could be a hidden gem. Those have come and gone in the past, but I don't think he is. They've sold Foyth, who was brilliant in the Europa League final. Absolutely brilliant. He was all over the place. Tottenham could probably do with someone like that. But he's gone to Villarreal. I mean, it's probably an upgrade at this point, but he's gone to Villarreal. Alderweireld, gone. I know he's gone to Qatar to earn loads of money, but he's gone. That's another big name from Tottenham leaving the club. Eric Lamela, gone. It's a decent name. They do not have Gareth Bale this time. That's something people will forget, is the effect of Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale wasn't amazing for Tottenham, but he did enough. He did what he was supposed to do, and that was provide goals and score goals himself. I think he was close to that 10 mark, if not hitting the 10 mark, as in goals in that season. That's good for a winger, especially for a winger that was getting brought in and out, especially due to his fitness, because he hadn't played for Real Madrid for God knows how long. For Tottenham, this is an important season. I feel like they have to win the Conference League. I really do, because I'm not sure they're going to qualify for Europa League without the Conference League win. So if they don't concentrate on the Conference League, I feel like they could end up in it again the next season. But it's up to them, because I don't know. Harry Kane saved them before, but will angry Harry Kane save them? I'm not sure. Sixth. Okay, so fans of this club and people who have been keeping up with, the positions will have noticed that a club is suspiciously high. That club is my local one in Aston Villa. They are going to finish 6th this season. I feel as though, even with the selling of Jack Grealish for 100 million, I still feel like they're going to get top 6. They have had one of, if not the best summer transfer window out of anybody, and they've sold their best player. Emi Buendia, 34 million, the Jack Grealish replacement. Is he as good as Jack Grealish? No. But can he have an influence like Jack Grealish did to a point? Yeah. They've signed Danny Ings for 30 million. I love Danny Ings. He's going to provide you 15 goals a season, easily. Him and Ollie Watkins performing at 15 goals a season? That sounds quite tasty if I was a Villa fan. Then you've got Leon Bailey for 28 million. I love Leon Bailey. I think Leon Bailey is great. I think he's absolutely unreal. Leon Bailey is. And I want to see him tear up the Premier League. And I think he might tear up the Premier League. And I just think he's class. I think he's absolutely class. Again, could be the Jack Grealish replacement. He could. Leon Bailey's, yes, not proven in the Premier League, but he could genuinely be the Jack Grealish replacement and perform well in his first year. They've signed Ashley Young, which I feel like, it's not the most incredible signing in the world, but a bit of experience to put in your squad, I think is always valuable, especially when you've got a gap in your squad. They've got a gap at left back as a backup left back, so why not get Ashley Young in on a free and have that wealth of experience in that dressing room? That wealth of experience could help them finish in a European spot and help cool down maybe some of these younger talents that haven't been in those positions. One of those younger talents is Twanzebe, who they've managed to get on loan. Absolutely incredible loan signing. They have managed to get players in every single position, except from that centre mid spot. If they got a centre mid, they'd be unbelievable. rumours are they're going to get Ward-Prowse. And if they do get Ward-Prowse, that confirms for me that Southampton are going down. I think Ward-Prowse is the only reason Southampton wouldn't. Obviously, in my predictions. But if Aston Villa get Ward-Prowse, then for me, top 6 is very much on the cards. I look at their squad and I look at Tottenham's squad. Right now, if you ignored Harry Kane, I'd want Villa's squad. I really do. I feel like Villa's squad is more exciting. You know, I look at compare the two squads, and for me, I'm more excited to watch Villa's squad play than I am Tottenham. You know, that's even with Harry Kane. Without Harry Kane, I really do think that's the case. You know, I would love to watch Harry Kane perform live, but I feel like even then, I feel like Villa's squad's more exciting personally for me, and that's why they'll finish 6th. Finishing 5th, where they always do for the past God knows how many years, is Leicester City. I feel like Leicester City are one of those teams that just can't quite break into that top 4. But, and this is a big but, if one of those top 4 that I feel like is nailed on do not perform this season and slack off, Leicester City will take that 4th spot. They will. You know, the signing of Daka, who looks brilliant. Iheanacho is performing at a top level at the moment. Jamie Vardy, that is 3 strikers that look really good. You know, I know Daka hasn't been in there long, but watching him in the Community Shield, he had so much pace, he had so much fire. I just feel like he might take time before he gets his first goal, but he will just start running with the goals and assists. I really do. I feel like he's going to be an absolute nuisance, especially if he's coming off the bench for Jamie Vardy. If Jamie Vardy's getting a bit on now and is going to start not being able to finish matches, Daka coming off the bench with the amount of pace he has is going to be absolutely trouble for most of these other teams in the league. You know, then you're looking at the Samare, who was running around like he was, you know, the 22-year-old version of N'Golo Kante, just randomly in the Community Shield. I just felt like, oh, maybe they're putting on one of their kids. No, this guy was running all over the place and absolutely going mental. Vestergaard is an incredible signing for Leicester, is a great centre-back, and I feel like he's really going to help Leicester City. When I spoke about the transfer window of Aston Villa, I spoke about the fact that they didn't get a centre midfielder. I look at Leicester City's transfer window. They've got a striker or an attacking, you know, I know he's a striker, but they've got one of the front 3. They've got a midfielder and they've got a defensive player. They've bolstered in every area and they look quality. And they looked quality before. And do you know what even the best part is? They didn't lose anything. I know there's rumours of James Maddison going, but I don't think he will. I feel like they've had a transfer window, where they've not lost anything and they've gained a lot. And with Brendan Rodgers as manager, that could be enough to break into the top 4, but I just think they're going to miss out because I think these 4 teams have a lot more quality. And starting off with the quality is Chelsea. Now, Chelsea are a weird one because a lot of people, with the signing of Romelu Lukaku for roughly 100 million himself, people say that that's enough. That'll be enough for Chelsea to win the league. I feel like they'll finish 4th, and that's because I don't feel like Romelu Lukaku will get going quick. I feel like it might take him a few games to get going, which might cost them a few points at the start, which is why I think they might drop off a little bit in comparison. I still think they're going to do very well, and I'm not sure on the order of these top 4, but I feel like Chelsea will be 4th solidly, and I just think Lukaku will take a while to turn up. The other thing with Lukaku, are we going to get Manchester United Lukaku or Inter Milan Lukaku? Because it very much depends on which one we get. And which one we get depends on how Chelsea will do. If we get Man United Lukaku, they could finish outside the top 4. If we get Inter Lukaku, they could finish top of the league this season. Then you're looking at the fact that they sold Tomori. I don't like that selling. I think Tomori had a lot to offer. But hey ho, it's their decision. I don't like the fact they sold Giroud either. If they sell Tammy Abraham, that's another striker going. And they're left with Werner and Lukaku. Lukaku, we don't know which one will turn up. And Werner is useless. Sorry, Chelsea fans. The one player I think will actually turn up for you is Kai Havertz. We might talk about him later. But Kai Havertz, I think, might have a really good season and start showing people what he's made of. Now, in third position is Manchester United. Now, before United fans start having a go at me for not putting them in the top 2, I think the main reason why is I feel like this is your setup season, right? You're going to get Varane. You've got Sancho. I feel as though... And you haven't sold anyone. You've kept everyone. If you keep people fit this season, you are going to mount a challenge. I feel like these top 3 are going to be the ones that mount a challenge. I feel like Chelsea aren't quite going to do it. Maybe the season after. But I don't think Chelsea are quite going to do it. I think that's why I'm putting them in 4th. And I feel like those front 3 are going to be mounting a title challenge. And whatever order they finish in, God knows. Chelsea for me, Man United have had a really good transfer window. If they get Varane, really good transfer window. They haven't really sold much, and they've gained quite a lot. And they've gained in the positions that they needed players in. Something about United this season, and I feel like they're going to need one more season. I feel like they're going to need time for Sancho and Varane to settle in. I don't feel like Sancho's going to fire off from the start, and it does depend on whether Cavani keeps up the form he was in last season. If they do those things, they will mount a title challenge. I just don't know if it's enough. Next season, maybe. This season, I just think you'll miss out. The other team I think that will just miss out is Liverpool. I feel like Liverpool's season all depends on if they keep people fit. And I mean, I'm saying that while Andy Robertson has just got an ankle injury. But they brought in Konate to bring in a bit more support into the centre-back role. Well done for finally replacing Lovren. Well done. Only took an injury to our main player and to really struggle for the majority of the season without centre-backs, and still managing to finish in 3rd last season. For you guys to realise that we needed a centre-back. Congratulations. I mean, we've sold Harry Wilson, which I think is a very good deal. 12.6 million. It's a decent price for someone that hasn't really done much. And he's 24 now. You know, you look at the other 24-year-olds and the people of a similar age, like Trent and stuff, breaking in, not only breaking into the team, but getting into Team of the Years, and he's barely getting into the team. You know, I much like the sound of Harvey Elliott, who has managed to sneak his way into the squad, who is 18 years of age and showing a lot more promise than Harry Wilson ever did, you know, and there's 6 years difference between them two. We've got an extra 6 years of Harvey Elliott, so you may as well invest the time in Harvey Elliott rather than Harry Wilson. And I mean, you look at our other signings, not much has really gone on. I think the only other real talking point is probably Wijnaldum is the only other talking point. And I never rated Wijnaldum that much. I feel like he did a very good job. He did his job, but I feel like Curtis Jones could be the guy to replace him. You know, we've got Keita and stuff, but Curtis Jones, I think he trusts Jones. Hopefully he trusts Jones to come into the team and progress the team. And if he does that, I'm happy with this team, and I feel like it might finish 2nd. I feel like it's a toss-up between United and Liverpool where they're finishing in 2nd and 3rd. And I feel like the 1st place of Manchester City is a given. If Manchester City don't finish 1st this season, it's a bit embarrassing. That signing of Jack Grealish just proves how much they're monopolising football. I don't like the way City run. It reminds me very much of PSG, and I don't like PSG. That should say enough, really. If they manage to get Harry Kane, which they won't, but if they do manage to get Harry Kane, then they have to win the league, and they have to win the Champions League. With Jack Grealish, they have to win the Premier League. And if they don't, it's a failure. They brought Jack Grealish to progress them into possibly winning the Champions League. We'll see how that goes. But I feel like City are going to get another league. The season after, I feel like you're going to have a 4-horse race. And that's when it's going to get interesting. Right, so I have done obviously the predictions from bottom to top of the Premier League. Those are every single team now I have catered for. Every single one. From bottom to top, all 20 teams in their respective positions. I will go back to this at the end of the season and be cringing and embarrassed that I actually managed to that I did this and predicted it in that order. But hey ho. I did reference the awards earlier. These are quick, easy, bonus predictions on top of what I initially thought. And we'll start off with maybe a few that maybe people don't think I might do. We'll leave the top goal scorer and stuff till last, and the player of the season and stuff. We'll start off with first manager sacked, and I feel like this is where my prediction for Southampton finishing 18th comes from. I feel like Hassan Hutel, I think it is how you pronounce his name, I feel like he's going to get sacked first. You could go with the Watford manager, but I feel like that's an easy choice given their history. I feel like other people that might lose their jobs, Steve Bruce could be one if he struggles with Newcastle. I don't think he will, but it could be one. Some people have suggested the Villa manager because of the expectation to perform well this season. Any of the big teams, Arteta is an easy one to choose. He struggled last season. He's going to struggle even more with the fans in the stadium this season. We'll see how that goes for him. But I feel like, for me, Hassan Hutel, the Southampton manager, is the one that's going to be sacked first. And that is what's going to cause the demise of Southampton in the Premier League. Is the fact that they're not going to get off to a good start. They're going to panic. They're going to sack the manager. They're not going to get anyone in that's going to be able to save them. And they're going to eventually go down. Next up, I'm going to go with the best signing and the biggest flop signing. So I feel like I could have gone, when it comes to biggest flop, I could have gone for team or I could have gone for player. And I feel like I'm going to go with a player and a new signing as well. I could have gone for a team, but I just don't feel like any teams really were a flop. I feel like it would have been a very, very harsh label to put on any of the teams for finishing lower. You know, a team like Everton or Southampton, it would have been a bit harsh. I'm going to go with Bryan Gill, the new signing for Tottenham at 22.5 million. I feel like a lot of them and their fans are feeling like he's going to be a really good signing. And I feel like he's going to do nothing. I really do have a feeling he's not going to perform. And I feel like he's going to be a flop this season. And that's going to lead to Tottenham finishing 7th. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going to go for. I feel like Gill's going to be the flop of the season, where they've spent a bit of money on him and he's just not quite going to make it. I mean, he is 20, so you can cut him a bit of slack. But I think it's going to be the flop. I really do. Sorry, Tottenham fans. I feel like I'm abusing you in this video, but I feel like he's the flop. Whereas for best signing for me goes to the team that has been having a quality transfer window in Aston Villa. Leon Bailey for 25-ish million is a ridiculous amount. I think Leon Bailey is quality. I'm surprised he hasn't been signed by a bigger team than Bayer Leverkusen already. I feel like he could tear the Premier League apart. Leon Bailey's my pick for best signing. I feel like he is going to prove to everyone that he is the real deal. And at 24, now's the time. Now's the time for him to prove to everyone he's the real deal. And he's here to prove himself in the Premier League. So now you're moving on to young player of the season, top assister, top goal scorer. You know, we'll go for top assister next. I said I was going to talk about Kai Havertz. This is the time. I feel like Chelsea needs someone to step up and assist to Romelu Lukaku. And I'm not really sure where that was going to come from until I thought of Kai Havertz. This is his season. He didn't perform last season, I think mainly due to Werner. I feel like every time he might have supplied something to Werner, he mucked it up. If Kai Havertz can deliver the balls that everyone knows he can to Romelu Lukaku, Lukaku will put them away. He won't waste as many chances. Even Man United's version of Lukaku will not waste as many chances as Werner, because Werner's useless, right? He won't waste as many. and he will get those assist bars up. I mean, there's other players you could go for. You could easily go for the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Bruno Fernandes, you know, players like that to get the top assister role. You know, even Harry Kane could get that top assister role again. And maybe even Leon Bailey, for anyone knows. But I feel like Kai Havertz, this is his season to come out and really show everyone what he can do. And then you're looking at top goal scorer, and I was thinking, and I was thinking, and I was thinking, and it's Harry Kane. I couldn't go beyond it. I was thinking of other players, other teams. Like, angry Harry Kane, I still feel like can score more goals than happy versions of other strikers. I just can't see anyone else picking up the goals he is. And if anything, it might be to prove a point. I feel like Harry Kane is the sort of man that might go out to prove a point and might perform even better just to prove to Man City, I am worth that 150 million. Get me out of this club. You know, something like that. You know, I feel like Harry Kane's got that determination in him where he might actually just perform better to prove a point that he deserves to be signed by Manchester City. Yeah, I just couldn't think of anyone else. You could think of like the likes of Danny Ings. I mean, Jota could be up there. Cavani could be up there by the end of the season. Romelu Lukaku, I think, is an easy choice to go for, and an outside pick. You know, there could be other outside picks, you know, up there. But I feel like Harry Kane, for me, I just don't think there's anyone better right now. And Harry Kane's just going to go out to prove a point. Then we're going to move on to Young Player of the Season and finally Player of the Season. So Young Player of the Season for me will be Bukayo Saka. I really like Saka. The world loves Saka. It's going to be Saka. The reason why Arsenal aren't going to be absolutely awful and aren't going to be my biggest flop pick for the season is because of their youngsters, and one of those is Bukayo Saka, who is absolutely going to perform on the big stage. He might have missed a penalty in the Euros final, but we forgive him for that, and he's going to perform for Arsenal on the big stages and really carry that team to the next level, and really just keep them in that 8th position and make sure they don't lose that top half place. For me, it has to be Bukayo Saka. I'm not really sure. There are a lot of other youth options coming around at the moment. Joe Willock is a very good choice for Young Player of the Season, especially if he performs like he did for the second half of the last season with Newcastle. But we'll have to wait and see. And for Player of the Season, I feel like it's Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is the easy pick, right? But sometimes easy picks are there for a reason. And easy picks are there because I can't think of anyone else to get Player of the Season. Right? Player of the Season usually goes to the player in the team that wins the league. And when I think of Man City's team, and I think of who's there to perform, you've got the likes of Ruben Diaz, but it's Kevin De Bruyne, because it's Kevin De Bruyne. He's one of the world's best players. It's Kevin De Bruyne. I don't need another reason as to why Kevin De Bruyne is going to get Player of the Season. He's incredible. He's going to carry City like he does every single year. But yeah, those are my predictions for the Premier League this season. I know this is a longer video, and I know that I have gone in extreme detail. Why? Because I don't want you guys shouting at me the amount of times I get shouted at every time I do a predictions video. So I thought I'd at least give a bit of reasoning as to why. And, you know, maybe this longer format of a predictions video is what you guys like. If you would like it to be shorter or whatever, do tell me off in the comments down below for making it really long and rambling like I always do. But if you have enjoyed this predictions video, please hit that like button. I will return to these predictions at the end of the season when everything has happened. I will return to these. Comment down below your own predictions from 1 to 20. Why not? Like, everyone's doing it all over Twitter. Put down your 1 to 20 below. And who do you think is going to be the biggest flops, the top signings, you know? Any of those extra predictions, put those down in the comments down below. I would really like to hear what your extra bonus predictions are for this season. And yeah, without further ado, I think it's time for the Premier League. You guys would have already known what the Brentford Arsenal result is. It starts in about 10 minutes because I've spent 50 minutes recording. And I shall see all of you guys in the next video. See ya!